We'll start the program this evening with Tilawat with English translation by Adnan Malik Sahib.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قال عيسى ابن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم مصدقا لما بين يدي من التوراة ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله الكذب وهو يدعى إلى الإسلام والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. These are verses 7 to 10 of Surah As-Saf, chapter 61. Translation is as follows. I seek refuge with Allah from the accursed Satan in the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful. And remember what Jesus, son of Mary, said, O children of Israel, surely I am Allah's messenger unto you, fulfilling that which is before me of the Torah, and giving glad tidings of a messenger who will come after me, his name being Ahmad. And when he came to them with clear proofs, they said this is manifest sorcery. But who does greater wrong than one who forges a lie against Allah while he is called to Islam? Allah guides not the wrongdoing people. They desire to extinguish the light of Allah with the breath of their mouths, but Allah will perfect his light, however much the disbelievers hate it. He it is who has sent his messenger with the guidance and the religion of truth, that he may cause it to prevail over all religions, even if those who associate partners with God hate it. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Next we'll have Hadith, Rahim Tayyib Sahib.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد ليس بيني وبينه نبي يعني عيسى وإنه نازل فإذا رأيتموه فاعرفوه رجل مربوع إلى الحمرة والبياض بين ممسرتين كأن رأسه واقتر وإن لم يصبه بلال فيقاتل الناس على الإسلام كيدك الصليب ويقتل الخنزير ويزع الجزية ويهلك له في زمانه زمانه الملل كلها إلا الإسلام ويهلك مسيح الدجال فيمكث في أرض 40 سنة ثم يتوفى فيصلي عليه المسلمون. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said that there is no prophet between me and him. That is Jesus. He will descend to the earth. When you see him, recognize him. A man of medium height, reddish fair, wearing 2 light yellow garments, looking as if drops were falling down from his head, though it will not be wet. He will fight the people for the cause of Islam. He will break the cross, kill swine, and abolish jizya. Allah will perish all religions except Islam. He will destroy the Antichrist and will live on the earth for 40 years, and then he will die. The Muslims will pray over him. The promised Messiah I also believe that the prophecy about the killing of the swine has been clearly fulfilled with his death. Dowie, for who could be more dangerous than the one who makes a false claim of prophethood and eats the filth of falsehood like a swine? So I can swear by God that he has the same swine whose death at the hands of the Prophet Messiah had been foretold by the Holy Prophet ﷺ. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Hakikatul Wahi. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Next, we'll have a Nazm by Adil Khan Sahib.
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. منظوم کلام حضرت اقدس مسیح موعود و مہدی معہود علیہ الصلوۃ والسلام، منقول از براہین احمدیہ. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. ہے شکر رب عز و جل خارج از بیان، جس کے کلام سے ہمیں اس کا ملا نشان. ہے شکر رب عز و جل خارج از بیان، جس کے کلام سے ہمیں اس کا ملا نشان. ان کے لیے تو بس ہے خدا کا یہی نشان. ان کے لیے تو بس ہے خدا کا یہی نشان. یعنی وہ فضل اس کے جو مجھ پر ہے ہر زمان. یعنی وہ فضل اس کے جو مجھ پر ہے ہر زمان. دیکھو خدا نے ایک جہاں کو جھکا دیا. دیکھو خدا نے ایک جہاں کو جھکا دیا گمنام پا کے شہرائے عالم بنا دیا گمنام پا کے شہرائے عالم بنا دیا جو کچھ میری مراد تھی سب کچھ دکھا دیا میں ایک غریب تھا مجھے بے انتہا دیا میں ایک غریب تھا مجھے بے انتہا دیا جو مفتری ہے اس سے یہ کیوں اتحاد ہے جو مفتری ہے اس سے یہ کیوں اتحاد ہے کسی کو نظیر ایسی عنایات کی یاد ہے کسی کو نظیر ایسی عنایت کی یاد ہے مجھ پر ہر ایک نے وار کیا اپنے رنگ میں مجھ پر ہر ایک نے وار کیا اپنے رنگ میں آخر ذلیل ہو گئے انجام جنگ میں آخر ذلیل ہو گئے انجام جنگ میں ہے شکر رب عز و جل خارج از بیان جس کے کلام سے ہمیں اس کا ملا نشان اس کا ملا نشان This was a poem of the promised Messiah, alayhi salatu wasalam, from the book, from his writing, the Barahin-e-Ahmadiyya. And the translation is as follows. For them, just this sign of God should suffice, meaning those graces rendered unto me at all times. Look, God has subdued an entire world. Being unknown, he made me renowned in the world. Whatever was my desire, he fulfilled it all. I was poor, he gave me without limit. Why is there such fidelity with a pretender? Who can remember the like of such grace? Everyone has assailed me in his own way. Finally, they were disgraced as a result of the conflict. Jazakumullah.
Jazakallah. Next, I have some opening remarks by Ibrahim Chaudhry. Sahib Muhtamim Tarbiyat.
Jazakumullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. By the grace and mercy of Allah Ta'ala, inshallah, USA Jamaat is being blessed with the visit of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Khamis Sayyid Allah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz to United States of America in next 10 days or so, inshallah Ta'ala. And the first stop of Hazur's visit will be in the city of Zion, Illinois. The victory in Zion is a fulfillment of a grand prophecy, which was a sign of God for America and the West, proving the truthfulness of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah in Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And today in our program, we will learn more in depth about this significant event. Majlis Khudam al-Ahmadiyya Tarbiyat Department is honored to hold this program today for us, for all members, all Khudam, to learn and educate ourselves. And we appreciate respected Anwar Khan Sahab to join us today and share his immense knowledge of this event, and also share with Khudam and the members the true importance and significance associated with this. So with that, I will request respected Murabi Sahab to please start the presentation and the discussion with respected Anwar Khan Sahab.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So again, Jazakumullah everyone for joining this very special webinar regarding, like it was just said, a sign of the truthfulness of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam, which took place right in our neighborhood, right in our country, and which was witnessed by millions. So with us again, like it was said, we have respected Anwar Khan Sahab, and he, mashallah, has extensive knowledge on this subject. He has also compiled a book regarding this same, Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and Dowie and Zion. So, assalamu alaikum, Anwar Khan Sahab. If you can just, I think you're muted right now.
Yeah, I'm unmuting now. Okay, Assalamualaikum.
So let's jump right into it. So I guess the very first thing that we should start out on to talk about this subject will be the background. So who is Alexander Dowie, and his life biography, this man from Scotland. What were his roots, and how did he come to the US, and just about his life.
So, John Alexander Dowie was born in 1947 in Scotland, and his family actually moved to Australia in around 1972 or something. And there he worked with his uncle as a shoe salesman. His uncle had a shoe shop, so he used to work with him. He was short-tempered, so what he did is once he became very angry with uncle and almost threw a crowbar at him, and almost he had to save his life. So that was his temper. So he left that and he worked at odd places here and there. Then he moved back to Scotland from Australia, and he learned theology in one of the schools. So he got some education there, and after that, he went back to Australia and tried to find a ministerial job at some church. So he found some odd jobs at some of the local church. He was very eccentric and was arrested hundreds of times because of his stance on various things, promiscuity being one, alcoholism being the other. Of course, we all do not like that, but we do not take law in our hand. What he used to do is took law in his hand and would practice medicine and would do the healing. And therefore, he was arrested for practicing medicine without license or something. Anyway, so he stayed there for a while, and he began an association known as Healing Association, International Healing Association. And he would heal, ironically, with prayers. Amazingly, this is how he started. And it is that weapon which killed him. So because he was not a true man, he was an imposter. So the same weapon he used to deceive people, that very instrument became life-threatening for him, and he died because of this prayer duel. So he moved back in 1876 or so, to United States. And he came to San Francisco and established a small church. He continued his healing mission, and finally moved to Evansville, Illinois, near Chicago. And there he established the first church, Christian Catholic Church. That was the name of his church. This is how he started his business. And again, healing was his instrument which he used, that he would pray for people, and people would give him money, and they would be cured supposedly, or not cured, or whatever. And this is how, and silently what he did is, very cleverly, he purchased a very large parcel of land, 42 miles of Chicago, near Zion, what is known as Zion now. So he began to purchase thousands of acres of land, because he had this in mind, that he would create a Christian utopia city, free of alcohol and free of promiscuity, and it would be the noblest city in the whole world. And he invited everybody to join him in this mission. So what he did is, silently he was purchasing this, and on the day of 1900, he collected everybody at Tabernacle, his church, and he unveiled his plan. This plan was unveiled on a 25 feet by 25 feet poster board, if you will, or canvas board. And he showed the blueprint of Zion City, that this is the city I'm going to make. And that he called it Zion City. And in 1901, he claimed to be the apostle of God. He said, I've been sent, first he said, I'm here only to teach, and then he changed it, that I'm the apostle of God. And if I'm not the prophet, there is no prophet on earth. This is what he said. Not only he did this, but he pursued, look at this Zion City, filled with lace factory and banks, and boulevards were named after biblical names. So very supposedly organized city, with everything controlled by him. It's a theocracy. So people would pay him taxes for everything which they owned. And this is how he amassed wealth. His wealth is supposedly in 1900, it is known to be $20 million then, which is equivalent to 800 billion today. So he was almost a billionaire then, in his own way, because the entire city was subjugated at his hand.
Anwar Saab, if I can ask you, what are the claims that were made at this point from this individual, from Alexander Dowie? What did he claim to be or to come as?
He made 3 claims in his life. First, he made a claim that he is an apostle of God. Then he gradually changed that, and he said he is Elijah the Third, the restorer, who is going to give you glad tidings of Jesus to come in 25 years hence. That was his last, claim. And both these claims, obviously, they were not from God. And he said, God speaks to me. And obviously, God never spoke to him. It was all lies and fabrications. And as a result of that, all the Khuddam should know that there's a verse in Holy Quran that Allah says that anyone who lies on my behalf, in my name and deceive people, Allah is going to ruin him and destroy him. And no one on the face of the earth could save him. And this applies to Holy Prophet ﷺ, this applies to Prophet Musa Islam, and any contender of prophethood who claims that God speaks with me and yet God would not speak to him, then he would see his destruction. That's exactly what happened in this case as well. So these were the two main claims he made. The Elijah, the restorer, Elijah the third, he called him. And supposedly, he became Elijah the restorer, and the first Elijah, in biblical terms, underwent prayer duel.
Yes.
And he underwent the prayer duel. In that case, Elijah alayhi salam, Ilyas alayhi salam, he contested with 450 false prophets, and they all turned out to be false. And he won. When he won, all the followers of those 450 prophets began to bow down and accepted Elijah as the true messenger of God.
Very true, very true. Jazakallah for that, Mirsab. So I'm just going to backtrack just a little bit. So obviously at this time, 1900s, early 1900s, individuals in America, they were, especially Christians, they were definitely waiting that this is the time for the coming of the Messiah. And so when they heard this claim of Alexander Dowie that he is the forerunner, he is the Elijah to come, and that Jesus is soon going to descend, then they flocked towards him, correct? They flocked towards him. They said that, okay, fine. Finally, we're seeing that in the next coming years, that descension of Jesus will take place. And he kind of, used that in a way. And that's how we get to Zion, right? About how the money poured in when these individuals joined him, a lot of rich individuals as well. And then he was able to purchase this, huge piece of land. Exactly. And then that story that you mentioned as well about how he's really into drama, right? Drama, pageantry, and how he waited until midnight, December 31st, 1899, right before the turning of the century.
Right.
And and then he, like you said, he opened the curtain, and behind it was the blueprint for Zion. And then people were crying. It's written that people were so emotional at that time, and that they wanted to purchase the land, because what he said was that this Zion is the new Jerusalem, and that this is the place where Jesus will descend. Listen, as he says that Jesus Christ will make his second, or will make his his descent will be in this plot of land, which is Zion, Illinois. So people rush towards that, and the money poured in. So Jazakallah for that. Let's move on then. So the next point I would say, which is important for us to understand, is that we see the claims he's made. We've seen this purchase, this land, which is going to be New Jerusalem, where Jesus will descend. His followers are starting to increase a lot, maybe even over 100,000 at this point. So about his, what was his view on Islam and the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ? Did he say anything about them, or did he stay quiet, or what was his view? Yeah.
That is where it all starts. That he began to abuse Holy Prophet ﷺ. He called him all kinds of names, womanizer, lustful, and all kinds of other, nonsensical names he associated with Holy Prophet ﷺ. Then he said that I wish and pray that the entire Muhammadans, he used to call them, which is Muslim Ummah, should die out. And that would be the day when crescent is going to fall and cross is going to be elevated. So this is the stance he had. He also abused all other faiths. He said, all those people who do not believe in me, may it be Mormons or the Catholics or the Protestants, Presbyterians, you name it, they are all apostates. And they have to come and believe in me. This was his stand. And especially when he used to write it in Leaves of Healing, his weekly newspaper, in that he abused Holy Prophet substantially. So this particular newspaper found its way to Qadian. And Huzur al-Islam read it. And when he read it, he was obviously infuriated by the fact that he's abusing Holy Prophet so viciously. So he made an informal plea and told him to refrain from this and not abuse people who are dear to God. But he didn't listen to it. He increased in his abusive mannerism. Then Huzur said, okay, since you claim yourself to be the prophet of God, and I am the second advent of Messiah. So instead of focusing all these Muhammadans to be killed, you focus on me. I would entreat him to refrain from destroying the whole body of Muhammadans living on the face of this earth if they do not, what does it say? If they do not take the son of Mary for their God, the fault is not theirs. Where is the requisite proof of Jesus' deity? And how can they be convinced of the divinity of the one whose very tomb has been discovered in this very country? Nay, more than this, they have in their midst the promised Messiah whose appearance is in accordance with the prophetic promises. This is what in September 1902 we said. And this is published in Review of Religions. So Review of Religion was the biggest instrument used at that time, and the entire US media picked it up. Invariably 40 to 50% of the media or newspapers, they have referred or they have made a reference to Review of Religions. So which is, for your information, Review of Religion is a magazine started by Huzur al-Islam himself in 1901. And that became the instrument of sending his message to the United States and across the world.
Yes. So Jazakallah for explaining, his views, his language against the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, against Islam. Very vulgar, very hate speech. A few things I have here is that in 1902 he published that if Muslims do not accept Christianity, then they will be destroyed. And again he said that he declared that Islam is a disgusting stain on the face of humanity, and Zion, he says, and Zion will destroy Islam.
Yeah.
So these are very strong claims, and again the vulgar hate speech that he used against the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This was echoed thousands of miles away. A man sitting in Qadian, India, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad al-Islam, he heard that this individual from the United States, from Illinois, is claiming to be the Elijah, the forerunner to the second coming of Jesus, and that he is saying such horrible things against that beautiful man, the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who was a mercy for all mankind. When he heard these things, and obviously the lion of God would not, be quiet. He had to say something. And then these excerpts that were read out, and that are in front of you right now, of the Prophet ﷺ, very kindly giving a plea to Dowie to stop saying these things, because what he's saying is completely wrong. And so this, on the screen right now, we have continuation of what the Prophet ﷺ said to Dowie. He says that we wish to point out respectfully to Mr. Dowie that there is no need for the fulfillment of his purpose to subject millions of Muslims to destruction. So again, remember he said that if all Muslims do not accept Christianity, then all of them will perish, all of them will die. So this is what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. He's saying there is a very easy way of determining whether Dowie's God is true or our God. And that way is that Mr. Dowie need not repeatedly announce his prophecy of the destruction of all Muslims, but should keep me alone in his mind, and should pray that of the two of us, the one who is false may die before the other. Dowie believes in Jesus as God, and I consider him as a humble creature and a prophet. The matter in issue is which of us two is in the right. The only condition is that the death, so again, the condition of this prayer duel is that the death of either of us should not be compassed by human hands, but should be brought about by illness or by lightning or snake bite or by the attack of a wild beast. So again, this is the prayer duel that was officially sent by the Prophet ﷺ to Dowie. And what ends up happening is that Dowie is right, Anwar Khan Sahib, he ignores it, right? He does not answer.
He totally ignored it, yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, somebody asked him that why don't you answer Mirza Ghulam Ahmad? And newspapers are the one. The Argonaut San Francisco said that this is an ideal situation. If he would be the true Elijah, he would jump into it. This is Argonaut of San Francisco said. And why he is not accepting it, we request him to accept this proposal. But he responded that people asked me that to respond. Then he made a ridiculous remark that I don't want to respond to these gnats and flies. I can put my foot on them and would crush their life. This is the Argonaut of San Francisco article from Argonaut. So we have, mashallah, collected 160 such clippings from across the globe. Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Germany, United States, Mexico, and India. And we are showing that in our book, inshallah.
Very nice, mashallah. So what's displayed in front for the viewers, we'll be displaying different clippings, just like Anwar Khan Sahib said, of newspapers across the country. So this wasn't any small thing that was written in one small newspaper. This was on a grand scale. The whole of the United States was seeing this contest, this challenge in front of their eyes at that time. And big newspapers across the country recorded what the Prophet ﷺ said. Some newspapers even recorded verbatim the challenge the Prophet ﷺ sent. And again, so Dowie is a public figure right now, well known across the country. And this challenge is again promoted, publicized by these big newspapers. And we can move forward and just go through those couple of clippings that we have. I think we have one after this as well. Yeah, so this is another one. Again, Anwar Khan Sahib, yeah, mashallah.
Canada, yeah.
Yeah, so that's in front of us for us to read. And so moving on, just like Anwar Khan Sahib said, this was ignored by Dowie, and even his followers asked him, but he didn't reply until later on when he said what Anwar Khan Sahib said about, that if he wished, he could crush them under his foot. So before he said this, the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw that he was ignoring the challenge that he had sent out, so the Prophet ﷺ, again in 1903, he wrote this, and it's on the screen for us to read. So it should be borne in mind that Dr. Dowie has not given any reply to my challenge made in September last. For an answer to my challenge, I will wait for a further period of 7 months from this day. If he accepts the challenge within this period and fulfills its conditions as published by me and makes an announcement to the effect in this paper, the world will soon see the end of this contest. I am about 66 years of age, while Dowie is about 55 years. Therefore, compared to me, he is still young. And since the matter is not to be settled by age, I do not care for this great disparity in years. The whole matter rests in the hands of him who is the Lord of heaven and earth, and judge over all the judges, and he will decide it in favor of the true claimant. And then Prophet ﷺ says, though he may try hard as he can to fly away from death, which awaits him, yet his flight from such a contest will be nothing less than a death to him. And the calamity will certainly overtake him in Zion, for he must face the consequences of either acceptance of the challenge or its refusal. So again, Prophet ﷺ is making it very clear that the things you are saying, the claims you are making are untrue. They are wrong. And this is a challenge from a man of God. So we can move forward. So after this, after some time, this is when he states, and that, like you mentioned. So again, so this will come after. So now we have Dr. Dowie, him making this statement that these are flies, and if I wish to, then I could crush them under my foot. And when he said these words, Anwar Khan Sahib, right? When he said these words, he pretty much accepted the challenge. He came into the challenge by saying these words. And once he's in this challenge, then we see what happens. The steady decline of Dowie. Yes.
Actually, what happened immediately after this, he took a tour or traveled to New York City with 8 trains going from Zion to New York. 3,000 people went with him. He rented Madison Square Garden for 2 weeks. And he made an appearance in his robe, which is then valued at $10,000. And as he appeared in the robe, guess what happened? The same foot which he said he would crush Prophet Messiah Islam, he was paralyzed and he fell down right on the stage. And he had to be dragged from the stage in carts to back home. So this is how that day, according to Arthur Newcomb, who wrote his biography, he calls New York as his 0 hour started. So his 0 hour began to start after his appearance in New York, which is after August 1903.
Okay, yes. So this is the steady decline we see right when he enters into the challenge by saying those obscene words. After he says those words, you see the steady decline of this individual, Alexander Dowie. And you know, one of the things, or actually there's many points that come into his downfall. And just like you mentioned, the first of that, or the big event, was what happened in New York. And then later on, he actually had two strokes, right? Two strokes of paralysis. And what happened was, after the second stroke, he was told to go to a warmer climate, correct? He was told by his doctor to go somewhere warm for treatment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think he ended up going to Jamaica and Mexico as well. And so during that time, he actually set someone up, right, in Zion to be the Yes, yes. So I mean, if you can explain that. So what happened once he put up that individual in Zion? You know, what happened?
When he put Waliba there, he investigated the whole affairs, and he found out that he usurped $600,000 from the bank. He used to refrain. He used to tell people to refrain from alcohol, and we found a cellar in his home filled with alcohol. He worked against women, and they found many virgin ladies was hired by him, who he used to pay. So all these findings were by Bolivar, who actually ousted him. So actually, at that time, it was February 15th, 1907, when Huzur issued the third warning. And he said, within 15 days, this man will be gone. And actually, after that, 14 days after that, John Alexander Dowie died miserably on March 9, 1907.
Yes, Jazakallah for summing that up. So exactly, once he went to Mexico and set that individual up, he was overthrown. There was a revolt. Even his family, right? Even his wife and his children, they even went along in that revolt, and they rebelled against him. Because obviously, who knows you better than your family? His wife knew that he was a hypocrite in the way that he used to tell people to stay away from alcohol and to have one be in a monogamous relationship, be not have any promiscuity in the city. And he used to drink alcohol. He used to have affairs, and so they went along in the revolt, and they left him. And so, like you stated, in 1907, then, so when he was in this miserable condition for 2 years or 3 years since then, after that, the Prophet ﷺ in 1907 then said those words. So I think we have those words. If not, we can read them out. So this is, again, another newspaper clipping, just trying to make it clear that this was widely publicized across the country in different newspapers, and millions of Americans witnessed this sign. So this is something, again, Anwar Khan Sahib, you said, right, that this is something that we can use going forward to let the mass public, the society know, who Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Islam was, and that their forefathers truly witnessed the truth of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Islam, right? Yeah. So that those words of
This is from Boston Herald, and what we are having is a 10-feet poster in exhibition center when Huzur visits our exhibition. This poster is magnified with 10-foot, scale.
MashaAllah. Yeah. So those words in 1907 that the Prophet ﷺ issued, he says, God has informed me, I will reveal a fresh sign, which will be a great victory, This will be a sign for the whole world. The sign will be at the hand of God, and everyone should await for it. God will manifest this sign shortly. It will be an evidence of divine help. It will be in testimony of this humble being who is being abused by all. Blessed is he who hearkens this sign. And again, within 2 weeks, right? Within 2 weeks, John Alexander Dowie passed away in that miserable condition that he was in, and he was alone without his family at his side. So again, we see this, if we can summarize the rise and fall of John Alexander Dowie, how he was a huge figure in American society at that time across the country. And his works, his claims were being presented in different newspapers, again, across. And then we see that when a true man of God, when he saw these false claims and this abusive hate speech against Islam and the Prophet ﷺ, he made this challenge, he made this contest. And we saw the steady but amazing decline of Dowie after that, and how he just went and he lost all his wealth, his health, and then even his family left him in the end, and he died in 1907, like we said. So with that, Anwar Khan Sahib, if you have any closing remarks, please.
The closing remark I have is that this is a huge sign. The likeness of that is not to be found in the United States other than this sign. This is the reason Huzur has called it Fateh Azim, means great victory. So members of Khuddam al-Anbiya and Ansar and all Jamaat members should understand that this is, Allah Ta'ala says Huzur Alayhi Salam said, Sunnatullah hai ki wo farq kar dikhlaye hai. Kaun hai sadiq aur kaun hai murdar khwar. It is Allah's decree that he differentiates who is the truthful and who is the liar. So exactly the same thing happened in this case. Allah came beyond the shadow of doubt to rescue Huzur Alayhi Salam's veracity. And we must understand that 21 people accepted Ahmadiyyat in San Francisco by witnessing this sign through the book which we published then. So now we are publishing a book with 160 such clippings. I would request Khuddam that they should look into it and use that book for tabligh and show the people that, look, this is the reason we are putting a bad form in the end of that book, that those who are convinced now, they may just join the bad after reading the whole episode, So I think that may Allah bless us to understand this sign. Its manifestation is like a sunshine in this day and age. So may Allah enable us to make use of this in our preaching efforts.
Inshallah, amazing. Jazakallah Anwar Sahib. One thing we should actually tie it in with is Khilafat today. So I remember you shared a few stories with me beforehand as well, with Khalifa Sadis Rahmatullah Ta'ala as well. So how again we know that the Prophet ﷺ, a prophet of God, how he has even talked about this subject, has spoken about how a prophet cannot stay alive forever. And the blessings, the grace, the prophetic might, it continues through the successors of that prophet, the Khulafa. And we see that in today's day and age, how that
That's right, because
prophetic might is being shown through all the Khulafa, and especially now we see this.
yeah.
Yes, please, Anwar Sahib.
Khalifatul Masih Saleh, Khalifatul Masih Rabi, and Khalifatul Masih Khamis all have focused attention to this. And in fact, Huzur, the very fact that he's staying for 1 week in Zion, Chicago is next door, but he chose to stay in Zion. That shows why Zion. People ask me, they see Zion as a small Jamaat. They don't see it is not a small Jamaat. It is a vital seat of a huge sign which was manifested for the Prophet of God. So that particular city now is a manifestation of a sign. Hence, the focus of Jamaat is we spent $5 million to build this mosque. And it is not small amount. For a small Jamaat, we would not do it. But because of the hugeness of the sign, we are focusing this so that people can understand. M.M. Ahmad Sahab, when he was here, he had a vision that maybe the first city to convert into Islam should be Zion. And Dia Bakr and Abu Bakr Sahab, they moved to Zion because of that. So, so I think that we should understand this sign effectively, read about it. Haqiqatul Wahi has described it, and many other books. We are printing this book as well. So share this book with other members, non-Ahmadi members. And you know Khadim Shah Sahab from San Francisco, he bought 21 books from me. And he had 21 bets through this sign.
Wow.
So this is a very potent instrument to bring Ahmadis or to bring
Americans especially.
Americans to Ahmadiyya. So please use this to your best of the ability.
Well, one question is that what is the name of this book?
Fateh Azim.
It is Fateh Azim. Okay.
And Amir Saab has given a forward, and we are requesting Huzur to give a message for it as well. So this book is complete. It is going to go to Tasneef tomorrow, inshallah, in London. And once they approve it, then it will be printed while Huzur is here.
Inshallah. Jazakumullah Anwar Khan Sahib for your valuable time and for informing us of this beautiful sign that happened in our own country.
Please pray for the safety of Huzur's trip and being benefited in the best possible way from Huzur's presence. Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First, I want to thank respected Anwar Mahmood Khan Sahib for spending some time with us, Majlis Khudam al-Ahmadiyya, to go over the importance of this prophecy. And Murabbi Osama Rahman Sahib as well, and the entire Tarbiyya team that's here with us. I don't have many remarks. I just want to thank the team here. And really the idea of this webinar was for us to understand why is Khalifatul Masih coming to the US, spending a week with us in Zion and inaugurating this mosque of Fateh Azim. What is the purpose of that? And each of us should really know what the prophecy is. And this webinar just gives us a flavor of that prophecy and some of the historical significance of it. But it's up to us now to go back and do more research into this topic. There's a beautiful exhibition that's set up that you'll see if you're in Zion during the inauguration period. There's this book by Fateh Azim named Fateh Azim. It's also will be available soon. So really now is a time for us to do this research, look into it, and we should know why Hazur is coming to Zion to inaugurate this beautiful mosque, and also a minaret as well. So, Jazakallah to the entire team. I will end with silent prayer and we'll end the webinar after. So join me in silent prayer. Ameen. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.